Bosniaks in Montenegro live in fear, anxiety following the election. Bosniak minority has been targeted in a series of attacks after the election ends in a new majority dominated by nationalists. Bosniak citizens of Montenegro say fear and anxiety pervades their communities after a series of attacks and vandalism targeted the minority population following the country's parliamentary election, which ushered in a new majority government dominated by right-wing nationalists. The intense election campaign pitted President Milo Djukanovic's pro-Western Democratic Party of Socialists, DPS, against the right-wing for the Future of Montenegro, ZBCG, bloc, comprised mainly of Serb nationalist parties that seek closer ties with Belgrade and Moscow. ZBCG, combined with two other opposition alliances, achieved a razor-thin majority, grabbing 41 out of 81 seats in parliament, bringing the DPS rule to an end after leading the NATO-member country for 30 years. The campaign largely focused on a dispute over a law on religious rights introduced in late 2019, staunchly opposed by the Serbian Orthodox Church, SPC. The SPC argued the law allows the state to confiscate its property in order to set up a separate church, sparking protests over the last 10 months supported by the opposition. The government has denied the allegation. Attacks and provocations against Bosniaks began as soon as exit poll results were released last Sunday and opposition supporters began celebrating on the streets. Bosniaks are the third largest ethnic group in the small Adriatic nation of 622,000 after Montenegrins and Serbs. Two Bosniaks, a young man and his father, were attacked at a cafe in the city center of Pljevlja on Sunday evening. Abid Sabnovic, 22, from the town of Pljevlja told Al Jazeera some far-right supporters drove through Bosniak neighborhoods with the sole aim of provoking residents there. These parts of the city aren't situated on the main road, so there was no reason to go there, Sabnovic said, adding the supporters were singing ultra-nationalist Chetnik songs about Draza Mihajlovic, a World War II-era Chetnik Serb figure. Such lyrics have nothing to do with the election, rather they represent an expression of nationalism, Sabnovic said, adding there is fear, anxiety among Bosniaks. Mihajlovic was the leader of the Serb nationalist Chetnik movement, many members of which collaborated with Nazi forces. According to historians, Chetnik forces killed tens of thousands of Bosniaks, Croats and other non-Serbs in the former Yugoslavia. History repeated itself in the early 1990s when Serb forces identifying with the Chetnik movement committed genocide and war crimes in Bosnia and Herzegovina, killing Bosniaks and Croats to make way for a greater Serbia. Bosniaks in neighboring Pljevlja, situated 40 kilometers east of the Bosnian border, were not exempt from violence either. In 1992, with the outbreak of war in neighboring Bosnia, authorities persecuted and killed Bosniaks in and around Pljevlja. By July of that year, more than a dozen Bosniak villages near Pljevlja were ethnically cleansed, and in September a series of 27 explosions targeted Bosniak stores and homes. Mosques were destroyed. It's not surprising, they were singing ultra-nationalist songs, considering that both the SPC and the leading opposition party nurture ultranationalism and the Chetnikism.